Hello, welcome. This is a bit of a different video than what I normally make. This past weekend, I was given the opportunity to do a panel at one of my local conventions. It is called the Evil Con. It's based in Evansville. That's what's called evil. It's not about being evil, but it is a local con that is a big anime convention. It's not massive, but it's kind of small. It was great for me to do my first panel. This is my first panel that I've ever done. And I thought would be really interesting and might be informative, and it was to some people, hopefully, is to talk about basically the first steps into collecting anime. And I did record it. Unfortunately, I was not really given a lot of time to set up, and I really wasn't able to test with like how it sounded to talk through a mic and then have it re-recorded. So I don't know how well this will come across on film. It's not going to sound as well as me making these type of videos because I wasn't wearing my standard mic and everything. And, you know, I couldn't be right up next to it. I couldn't film very well because I didn't want to get in the way of the audience. So basically what I'm saying is this isn't the greatest video. It was my first time ever doing this, but hopefully you might get some enjoyment out of it. I did just want to archive it pretty much. So if you want to watch it, you can. If not, subscribe. There'll be more content in the future. This is not going to be a standard thing that I'm going to do every week, but maybe if I do one in the future, I will record it better, and then you can watch that. But if you do want to watch this, hopefully you enjoy. Hopefully you will get something out of it. And if you have any questions afterwards, I do mention it to the crowd there, and I answer some questions for them at the end. If you have any questions as well, comment down below. I'll try to answer them as well as I can. As I mentioned in the video, I'm not informed about everything, but I am a little bit informed than most. So, you know, I'll try to do my best. But anyway, this is my panel that I made called Collecting Anime 101, and I hope you enjoy. Real quick, if you don't know who I am, because you might be saying he looks very young to be doing a panel about collecting. I am Dan. I run a Twitter account, and I also run a YouTube channel where I collect anime and stuff like that. The Slice of Anime, you may have seen it on Twitter, even if you don't really pay attention, it probably popped up for you. I have been collecting all my life, just random stuff, mostly Star Wars, video games like that. I got into anime back when COVID was going on, and so ever since then I've been a big fan of collecting anime and stuff. So now I have decided to make, this is my first panel, so beware if I mess up or if I stumble my words, then bear with me. But I'm going to go over what you can collect in the anime sphere, where to collect this, where you can get certain things you might not be able to find in America, whatever, and how to preserve your collection for as long as possible. And I have some examples here of certain things, and hopefully you might learn a thing or two you might not have known before, or you might have a tip that I have learned that might help you guys. So real quick, the first thing here is what to collect. There is a lot of different things you can collect in anime. The most prominent thing is scale figures. Scale figures, if around this area, everybody knows about like Hot Wheels and NASCARs and stuff. Scale figures are basically the exact same as those little scale cars. The scale cars are 1/64 scale. Scale figures in anime are just a bigger version of that. They are usually 1/7, 1/6, 1/5, 1/4, half scale. They can get really big. They got life-size ones if you really wanted it to be. So the most common one whenever it comes to scale figures is, whoops, they're falling out here. But the most common ones is, for one here, this is a quarter scale figure. These are a little bit more rare than most, and I'm going to show you one of the more common ones here, whenever I get her back on her base here. But this one here, this is a, there we go. This is a 7th scale figure. This is your most common figure you're going to find. These are pretty widely available. They usually range between, you can find some that are in the $60 to $70 range. They range up to, you know, $200 to $300 depending on the detail and everything. These also come in, like I said, different companies will make a 6 scale, 7 scale, whatever, depending on the character. It really has no sense or rhyme or reason on why they do that.
Another one here, I mentioned it before, the quarter scale. So this is actually from a company called Freeing. They make what is called the Freeing Bunny line. This is basically a bunch of random anime characters that they put in bunny outfits. Now Freeing doesn't only make Freeing bunnies, they also make, they recently came out with one that was Hatsune Miku, but it's in her standard outfit, so it's not, if you don't like the ecchi stuff, you can still get some from other lines. They also do Demon Slayer. They've released Rengoku, Tengen, Mitsuri, all in their just standard outfit. So if you can get some really high quality scale figures like this for a decent price, because those, I say decent price, you're still gonna pay $200–300 for these, but they are not, you're getting a good figure for the price that you're paying there. Some figures, or some companies, I mentioned Free. There is also Alter, Aniplex does figures themselves. Fruit, there's all Japanese names here. Fruit, Good Smile, we'll talk about them here in a moment. Kotobukiya, they are a common anime figure company. They release a lot of them in stores in America, so you can buy them very easily. Another one, Fat, but it's pronounced, or it's spelled P-H-A-T. Another one is Plum. Plum does a lot of Love Live figures. So if you're into Love Live, you can get a lot of figures from Plum. Alter used to do a lot of Love Live stuff, and now they do. Plum has pretty much taken that over. Union Creative is another one. There is hundreds of other companies that do these scale figures and everything. It is the most common anime thing you can buy. You will find these everywhere, and they are probably the most sought after figures. So if you're interested in something like that, scale figures is probably your go-to thing. But there is also other things. There is another type of figure that is also in this similar boat, but it is called prize figures. Now prize figures here, I brought two examples to show you here. The first one here, you can see it's there. This is from a company called Banpresto. These are somewhat detailed. They're not super detailed, but they are detailed enough to where you can tell what character this is. This is Yukino from my teen romantic comedy Snafu. They're detailed enough, but you can obviously tell it's nowhere near scale figure quality. But a company that I do want to mention whenever talking about scale figures is a company called Taito. Now Taito makes these little prize figures, and these are insanely well detailed. If you ever are wanting, and these are very, like, if this is a $300 figure, this is a $140 figure, these are $20. These are very affordable, especially if you want to get multiple figures from multiple anime or whatever. These are insanely good for that. Especially if it's not your favorite, go with these. And they take up a lot less room too. But Taito, I've found, and this is one of my favorites, they're a line called Corful, and they are insanely well detailed for the price. Highly, highly recommend them. And we'll talk about them more here in a moment because they do other stuff as well. Now, I do want to mention, whenever it comes to prize figures, some people don't really know what they are and why they're called prize figures. Prize figures, basically in Japan, they are in the crane games and everything. If you ever watch YouTube or whatever, and you've seen like Dog VA do the crane game videos, those are the figures he's getting out of the crane games. That's why they're called prize figures. Now, I would be, I can't go without talking about anime stuff without talking, of course, about like Funko Pops and obviously Nindroid's here, which she has fallen off of her base here. But this is, you can see that. That's a little Nindroid there. It's a very common thing. If you are collecting anime though, and you're in the States and you don't want to, and I'll talk more about where to collect and everything, but if you want to collect something, anime stuff, especially from the main anime, Funko Pops, love them or hate them, they're the easiest ones to find. You can find these things everywhere. You can find them at Target, Walmart, everywhere like that, you can find them. And they're getting better. They're still Funko Pops, but they're getting a lot better. But Nindroids is another like chibi type line like that. These are really nice. Now the problem with these versus like Funko Pop costs $15. These can cost upwards of $50 to $60. So you're paying about half the price of this thing, and it's a lot smaller. So maybe only buy your favorites of this if you don't want to break the bank whenever it comes to these little chibi guys here. I didn't bring them, but there is also Hugh Posket. They do release a lot of them in America. They look kind of like a doll. You can also get those. They're very common. They make a lot of Demon Slayer stuff. They've made Attack on Titan, Sailor Moon. They make a lot of Sailor Moon stuff. That's a very popular chibi line. They also are coming out with a new line that is in the chibi brand, and it is getting very popular, but I don't have any yet. And it's from, they're a line called Look Up, and it is basically the size of this, but it is a very detailed little figure. If you are curious about them, I highly recommend them because they are becoming very popular in Japan. But that is basically the figure, a very basic overview. There's tons of other ones. Whenever it comes to prize figures, there's hundreds of different types of prize figures. There are, alternate versions, like for instance, a Daki from Demon Slayer was a common one I like to compare with. Sometimes with prize figures, they'll do two different versions of it, and all it will be is a paint swap. So maybe one version of the Daki prize figure will have white hair, the other version will have black hair. They're gonna say the exact same mold of figure twice, only differences are hair is a different color. So there is tons of things whenever it comes to prize figures. There's tons of different versions of scale figures. They go from, like I said, life size all the way down to, I've seen some 12 scale. They're little bitty, and they'll charge you $60 for that little bitty thing, but they're there. So that is the figure side of it, but that's not all you can collect whenever it comes to that. There is obviously, I want to real quick go over plushies. Plushies are, you can't go wrong with plushies. And I mentioned a while ago, I mentioned Taito. Taito is the one that made this Mai here. They also make a line of little plushies here. This is my favorite plushie line. It is from Taito. I think it's called the Big Plush. They also make bigger versions of this. They go all the way up to like this big off the floor. They're massive. But there's a lot of different versions of Taito stuff you can get. They are insanely well detailed. They're very cute. And they make a lot of different versions of stuff. They make Mai from Rascal's Not Dream Bunny Girl Senpai. They make the quintuplets. They have a lot of different versions. These are getting harder to find in America. I'll tell you more on how to find these in a minute, but they're getting harder to find. Another one is Nesoberries. These are a big Love Live thing. If you're into Love Live at all, you've probably seen the little Nesoberries. These are just little laying down plushes they've made. If you're not into Love Live, they've made Anya, they've made Demon Slayer ones, they've made different ones, but their big one is Love Live. These are probably the hardest plushie out of the main ones to get in America. You can get them, but I'll tell you more about that in a moment when we talk about where. Also, there's a new line of these coming out, and this is from Good Smile, which I mentioned them earlier. They make scale figures, but this is, Good Smile also makes the Nindroid, by the way, about 95% of them. They also are making this little Nindroid plush line now. These are your easiest way to get plushes in America right now, because they are on, I'm kind of skipping ahead here, but you can get them from Crunchyroll Store, you can get them from other major retailers in America. They're kind of small, like they're a lot smaller than like the Anya here, but they are very widely available, and they are they range in price depending on the series, obviously, but you can usually get these for about $20 to $30. So if you want a high quality plush, that's probably your easiest bet right now. Those are the things that you can easily get in America as terms of figures and everything. But there is another thing that is very, very popular, and that is acrylic figures. Now these are, you can see there, it's just a sheet of acrylic they've printed a figure onto. The plus side of these is they're cheap. You can get these for $4, and they'll make any figure you want. There are some anime that I have wanted a figure from, they make nothing of it. They don't release anything merch-wise, plushies, or anything, but they'll release an acrylic stand because they are easy to make. They can print out 100 of them and sell them to people. So if you want an acrylic stand, there you go. Your favorite character is probably an acrylic stand. The problem with these is these haven't really caught on in America. These are hard to find in America. Now they do have some of them. I mean, you can find them. There's probably some in the exhibit hall up there. But these are not something you can go out to, you know, your local Barnes and Nobles or whatever and get. You will have to go to online stores that ship from Japan. So be aware of that. I'll talk more about where to get those here in a moment. Now, finally, the last thing that you can collect whenever it comes to anime is obviously manga. Everybody knows what manga is. This is one of the easiest things to find in America, and you know, I don't think I need to explain anything whenever it comes to manga. Now, I will talk more about where to get them here in a moment, but I think that's kind of obvious. The next thing is that you can get Blu-rays. I know Blu-rays are a dying trend, but with, say for instance, there was an anime that, and I don't know if any of you watched it, but it was on High Dive recently. It was called Kubo Won't Let Me Be Invisible. It was a really fun anime. I liked it a lot. High Dive had the license for about a year and a half. It's not on there anymore. They took it off. Can't watch it anymore. And so obviously there's ways you can watch it, really, if you want to watch like the dub version of it, you can buy the Blu-ray. Yes, anime Blu-rays are probably the most expensive Blu-rays you're going to buy because most of these will go for $40 to $50. Yes, it's an anime season. You're getting a pretty good, thing for your buck. But is it worth it to you? That's up to you because, like I said, Blu-rays are a dying trend. Now, some fun stuff here that I wanted to mention before I get into where you can buy stuff is there are Japanese things you can buy. Obviously, there are Japanese manga. You can buy the Japanese print of it. Now, why in the world would you buy a Japanese print manga if you don't speak Japanese or can't read Japanese? Well, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes American publishers don't publish everything that releases in Japanese. They release probably maybe 40 to 50%. The rest of it doesn't ever get printed. If you find a manga that you read online or something, and you really, really like it, there's ways to import the Japanese manga to America very easily. I'll talk more about that here in a moment, but you can definitely get your favorite mangas in print, no problem. Another thing, they do make CDs. I have a Love Live CD here, but they make also soundtracks. Japan is really big about physical media still. It's kind of a dying trend over here, but it is still massive in Japan. So if you want to have a CD of your favorite anime soundtrack, you can find it pretty easily. And I want to mention, because kind of like with the manga, not always will your favorite anime even get on streaming sometimes over here. So if you really want to own your favorite anime in Blu-ray form, you can do it. The problem is, in Japan, and this is something really fun that I think is neat, they release a lot quicker over there. So say if this is Love Live Superstar Season 1. This aired in 2021. I don't think this Blu-ray came out until 2022. So it took about a year for it to come out. This is Season 2 of Love Live Superstar. This is Volume 1. I'll mention that in a minute. But this came out like 3 weeks after the episode aired. Like before the season was even over, this came out. Now the problem is this has episodes 1 and 2. Nothing else. So if you want to, watch episodes 1 and 2, you buy this one. Then if you want to watch episodes 3 and 4, you buy the second one. And you might say, well, that's not too bad because I bet they're only like, $20 a piece or whatever. No, they're $60 a piece. And 99% of the time, these aren't even subtitled. They're in Japanese language I can't understand. So only buy your absolute favorites whenever it comes to buying Japanese Blu-ray. But that is an option if you want to. But Could you open that for me? That is, whenever it comes to what to collect, that is the overview. There is many, many more things you can collect, but that is the basics. Now I'm going to go into how to collect this stuff. Now, for the main figures here, there is obviously cons. We're at one right now. You can go upstairs, you can buy figures like this. I bought figures today. So you can go out, they have prize figures up there. They have a lot of Hatsune Miku prize figures up there. If you want to go buy them, you can go buy them today. They do have a few scale figures up there. This size is pretty much everywhere at cons. They also have quarter scale. I didn't look very thoroughly, but I'm sure they probably have one or two of them up there, but these are very readily available at cons. So if you ever go to the con, this one, any of the other ones, they're there. So, you know, if you just want to shop at your local cons, you can. There also is websites you can get these on. You can also find some of these in person. For in-person shopping in Evansville range, Barnes & Nobles sells a lot of like big anime, figures. So if you're talking like Chainsaw Man, Oshinoko, Demon Slayer, those, you're gonna find them at Barnes & Nobles. Same thing goes for like Hot Topic and Box Lunch. Those are like the main like retailers. Target has some, but not a lot. I mean, like I said, Funko Pops, they're everywhere. But whenever it comes to figures, they're here and there. Now, we do have two local shops that are very good about carrying anime figures. Those are Comic Quest. Comic Quest is out on, I don't know what road they're on. They're out by the airport now. They are great. They have some great anime figures there. I have bought from them before. Another one is Evansville Toys and Games. They are over there on Morgan Avenue. They are great about, if you have anime figures you want to sell, maybe you bought this figure and now you've had it for a year or two and you're thinking, I want something else, so I'm going to buy this one. And say they have this one in store. They'll buy this one from you and then you can buy this one from them. And they have some great deals. I've sold to them and I've bought from them. So they're great on that. I honestly, if they have what you're looking for, buy from them over the big retailers because it helps out local stores. But online shopping, this is the big one on where to get stuff because there is a lot of, like I said, some of these are not available in America. So this is where it kind of gets to where you can pick where you get it. Good Smile Company, I mentioned them. They make the Nindroids, they make some of the scale figures, they make the little plushies down there. They have their own retailer, Good Smile Company. You can find it, they ship from America, so it's not that expensive. They are from Japan though, so they have a lot of, Japan exclusive stuff you can buy from them. Another one that I really like, but they are expensive whenever it comes to shipping, is a company called Ami Ami. Now Ami Ami is based in Japan, and they will ship basically anything from Japan to you. So they are the best place. If you want these little acrylic stands, buy from Ami Ami. Now, whenever I say they're expensive with shipping them, I buy some of the free things from them because since I make a YouTube channel, I can get this quicker through them than if I was to order through an American one because the American retailer is going to ship it from a Japanese retailer to them, then they're going to ship to you. So if I buy from the Japanese retailer, I'll get it quicker. But shipping one of these from Japan, if this costs $200 just to buy the figure, it's going to cost an extra $100 to buy it, to ship it to Japan. So if you don't want to pay the shipping cost, don't buy any big figures. These come in a little plastic envelope. These don't cost as much. But if you find like 10 of them you really like, buy all 10 of them at once. Don't buy them separately because you don't want to pay separate shipping on all of them. They don't carry all of them, but they do carry these Japanese Blu-ray if you want them. The same thing with the CDs. They don't carry all of them, but they carry 90% of them. And they are not the best whenever it comes to Japanese manga, but they do carry Japanese manga. I will say, whenever it comes to Blu-ray, CDs, and manga, there's another company called CD Japan. CD Japan is the best whenever it comes to getting Japanese media of any type. They're great, they ship fantastic. That's one thing that I gotta give Ami Ami and CD Japan. They are, in terms of their shipping quality on how they package everything, you are guaranteed to not have any damaged products from them. Great. Now, there are some American retailers that are great, and I'm not going to go over all of them because there's hundreds of them. But some of my favorites, there's a company called Big Bad Toy Store. They not only do anime stuff, they do action figures, they do Star Wars, Marvel, DC, everything like that. They are great. And if you want to buy from them, don't buy over don't pre-order whatever you can afford, but you don't have to pay for it immediately. So say I really want this Nindroid, it just came up for pre-order today, it might sell out. So I'm gonna pre-order it today, I don't have to pay for that until it ships. So if you think, I'm gonna wait till then, I'll have more money then, you can. But like I said, don't buy what you can't pay for because they'll bait your account. Don't do that. I've had friends that do that and they're like, why don't I do that? Well, because you didn't pay for it. But anyway, Entertainment Earth, they're another great one. They don't carry as much whenever it comes to anime, but they do carry a good amount. And obviously, Amazon, eBay, those are great as well. But whenever it comes to Amazon and eBay, beware of fakes. Fakes are a big thing whenever it comes to anime figures, especially these prize figures. There's a lot of fakes going around of these. Not as much whenever it comes to these. Nindroids are a big thing that gets faked a lot. You can find some really good guides on how to, find fake Nindroids, but they are a bigger thing you need to watch out for. And Amazon and eBay. Amazon not so much, eBay kinda, especially older things. Those are something you need to be aware of with fakes. Make sure they have, if you ever seen like where it's just the like promotional image of the figure, if you see that and it's on eBay and they're selling it, don't buy it. Buy it when they have actual pictures of the item, because if you buy it and it's just a promotional image, there's a reason they don't want to show you the actual image, probably because it's fake. But that is mainly the big things on where to collect it from. So I want to real quickly, because I don't want to, I've got about 45 minutes worth of stuff, and then if you have any questions, we'll try to answer it to the best of my ability. But I want to go over real quick how to display your anime collection, how to preserve it, because it is a big thing for me, because it is very easy to make an anime collection that looks really nice, but then you put it somewhere and it gets damaged, it gets, light faded, we'll talk about that, and it makes you not like it as much because the figure eventually gets damaged. I'm going to give you some tips on how to prevent that. Now, where it comes to shelving, this is one of the biggest things that I've got asked over the years from Twitter and YouTube and everything, is where do I get shelving at? Honestly, Target, Walmart, the little cheap shelves, they're great. I mean, they work. And some people will spend thousands of dollars for a shelving unit. Honestly, I don't want people to come into my house to check out my anime collection. They're like, man, that's a nice shelf. I want you to look at what's on the shelf, not what the shelf is. But basically, just as long as it's built right, it'll last forever. Another one though, if you want to buy more upgraded shelving units or whatever, Menards over here in Evansville, they have some great shelving units. Now it's all customizable. You can have them cut whatever way you want to and everything, and they're not that expensive. So if you want to do it through them, you can obviously do that, and it's not, like I said, not too expensive. And if you want to get expensive, hire somebody to come in and make you a $10,000 cabinet or whatever. I don't recommend that. Buy a life-size figure if you're gonna do that. But now lighting. A lot of people like to do lighting because lighting looks nice. I will say there are a big thing that people will do whenever it comes to lighting that can really damage your figures and you don't even realize it. And that is those little stick-on pucks. Everybody knows pretty much what I'm talking about. Those little under-the-counter things, they're everywhere, you can find them. They've got a little sticky adhesive back, and then you put them up, and then you press the thing and they'll turn on or turn off. Those are great for about a month. And then what happens is, they're all LEDs, so they don't get hot, but they get warm. And when they get warm, that adhesive kind of loses its grip. And then if your figure is underneath it, and then that adhesive breaks free eventually, it's gonna fall directly onto your figure. Now, I've never had that happen with a figure because I haven't used them in a while. But I did have that happen whenever I had a NASCAR collection. And I had a really cool NASCAR at the time. And I was very proud of it because I had bought it right whenever it released. And then I put it in this nice little cabinet. I was younger and I was very happy with my little display and everything. That light fell down. It landed right on the hood and I didn't notice it for a few days. That adhesive then adhered to the hood of that car. And whenever I tried to peel it off, it didn't peel all the paint off, but it peeled some of the paint off. So you don't want that to happen to your stuff. If you have it on top of your, like say you want to light up your manga collection, that adhesive will stick to the top of this paper really quickly. You don't want that. So be aware of that. Same thing whenever it goes for your Funkos or whatever. Be aware of those little puck lights. They do make puck lights that screw in. If those little Walmart shelves, you can take a screwdriver and it's just particle board, you can screw them little screws into that and they'll stay forever. Those are great. I don't really have a preference whenever it comes to if you use wired or battery. Just if you use the battery ones, they'll corrode eventually, so because they don't really run. It's just powering like 2 LEDs, so they'll last forever. But those batteries will corrode eventually, so just watch out for them. But that's just a battery thing. Now, sun fade. This is the biggest thing that no one is aware of whenever it comes to anime stuff. And this is why I brought this figure in particular. This is a really pretty white figure. And it looks nice. The wings on it and everything. I really like this figure. One of my favorite figures that I bought last year. If I were to sit this right in a windowsill, by the middle of this year, this figure would be ruined. And the reason why is because white will turn yellow in the sun. And very quickly. If you've ever noticed, if you go to like a bookstore or something, you'll notice sometimes, you can see here, this manga here is still very white. It's got white, you know, the pages all look white and everything. You ever notice some of them, they're an older volume or something, they'll be yellow. And you think, why the heck are they yellow? They've sun faded. They have stayed there for too long. Those bookstores will just leave them out to where the windows are wide open and they're sitting in the sun, they're gonna yellow really quickly. So what I highly recommend is if, say this is your window, if you can, I know it sucks to not have light coming in because, you know, we all want to see the outside world, but if the window's here, maybe put your bookshelf here and over there because then the sun's never hitting it. They're hitting the rest of the room, they're not hitting directly onto the figures. Now, it's not as bad whenever it comes to like reflecting. So if like that wall gets really bright and then it reflects and then it lights up your anime stuff, that's not gonna sun fade it nearly as much as direct sunlight. So that is something really big whenever it comes to that. Now also, whenever it comes to like keeping your area clean and everything, there are certain things that with your anime collection that you won't really be aware of, and that is just bugs. I'm not going to say that because you don't clean your area or whatever. I clean my area all the time. Bugs are going to show up everywhere. I'm infested with ladybugs right now, and them things don't go anywhere. You can't get rid of them. And ladybugs are not the worst, but there are other things like stink bugs are really bad right now. And things are everywhere. Those things, what they will do is they will walk on top of your manga collection because it's nice and cool, and they'll die. And then if they're sitting on top of it, what they do is they just basically turn to dust. And those things, after they turn to dust, they just soak into your manga. That doesn't happen, quick. But if you aren't cleaning your collection, regularly, it will happen. And I've had it happen, so I'm not saying, you don't do it as well. I'm saying it's happened to me. It will definitely happen to others. Another thing that I was not aware is as bad of a problem around here is what is actually a problem is carpet beetles. Now, carpet beetles are these little bitty tiny beetles, and they are legit like the size of 2 heads of an end of a pin. You won't even know you have those before they are infested in your, I tell you what they are bad about. these little plushies, because they're in carpet, they're in floors, everything like that. And because I had a few of them, and I was like, where the heck are these things coming from? So I talked to an exterminator guy. He said, you would not imagine how many houses have these, and they're not aware of it. And why I mention them, because you might say, well, if they're that tiny, how are they that big of a deal? What they'll do is that if, like, see Anya here has got this hair here. What they'll do is they'll go back into her hair in there, and, no, that's not one, that's part of stink bug. Great. But they will go back into her hairline there, and they will nest. And when they nest like that, you don't know they're there. And when they make that nest, they eat all the fibers around that to make a nest. And so basically what it's doing is it's eating away the fibers in your plushie. You won't even know it until it's too late. And what can you do about that? Check them. And you might say, and that's the same thing with the manga, same thing with everything else. Regular cleaning is, I know it's the common thing. You know, everybody, you know, says that, oh, you need to clean your collection more often. You would not believe how helpful it is to just keep your collection clean regularly, and it will make a better collection overall. It will preserve your collection for years and years and years to come. And I think, I thought I had something else written down, but I don't have it written down here. Until that comes to me, because there was something else that I was thinking about. I just thought of this morning, but it didn't save it in my iPad. Do you have any questions real quick while I'm thinking of that?
Would you recommend like using dust or something like that to clear off the dust off?
That is what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Whenever it comes to, I just bought a Deku, because I just got into My Hero Academia a few months ago. And I've been trying to go through and buy all the Funko Pops from My Hero. And I bought one from a thrift store, and I brought it home, and it was very dusty. And so what happens is dust, whenever it falls, it will lay on the figure. And if you take those spray air gun, or like canned air, compressed air, if you take it and you can catch that dust within a week of falling, it's fine. You can easily get it, and it won't hurt at all. That is great for it. If you wait for a month, what happens is that dust, the humidity in the air, will make that dust kind of adhere to that plastic. And that's what happened to that Deku Funko Pop that I had. And if that happens, just wash it off, and it'll clean it up real nice. I've had anime figures that I've gotten that were used, because AmiAmi, by the way, sells all pre-owned stuff, and they will give you a detailed rundown of what's wrong with that figure. So if they will grade it, they will say this is an A grade figure, and they might say it's a B grade figure because the box is beat up, or it's a C grade figure because maybe it's a Nindroid and it's missing one of the arm attachments or whatever. So they'll give you a detailed breakdown. And usually if it's used, it might be a little dusty or whatever. And all I recommend with that is don't use cleaner, just use, get some Dawn dish soap, just very light stuff, and just lock the drain in your sink, fill up the sink with warm water, not hot water, and kind of mix some soap in there, soak it up, and then just kind of gently, wash off the figure, and then there you go. And then let it air dry. Don't try to, because if I tried to like towel dry this, I'd break the wrist. So just be aware of that. But yeah, compressed air, great for that. But whenever it comes to like dusting, if you completely take everything off of your shelf and then dust it, it's great. Definitely never though, like if you have your collection like here to where there's like a little gap there, don't go through and spray the spray right in front of it, because it will, this paper will soak it up. And that goes for really any kind of Blu-ray, manga, CDs, anything like that. Figures, not so much, but still it can, those Dusters have a little bit of chemical in it, so you don't really want to get that in here because it could stain the bases and stuff like that. But anything else, question-wise?
Can you name off the two American online stuff like Big Bad and Entertainment?
Yes, Big Bad Toy Store is one. They are, I personally use Big Bad Toy Store because, and they are, I will admit, they're a little bit more expensive than other American retailers. They, like, for instance, if I could buy this at, there's another one, a Crunchyroll store, I mentioned that earlier. That's another great one. If this was $20 on Crunchyroll store, it might be $25 on Big Bad Toy Store. But what I really like about Big Bad Toy Store is their shipping is great. They package it to where you know the box isn't going to be damaged because, you know, I mean, if the box is damaged, it's not that you want to keep the box, it's that, you know, the figure inside the box could be damaged. So knowing for sure that the figures are okay, that's the biggest thing for me, and Big Bad Toy Store is great about that. The other one is Entertainment Earth. Now, like I mentioned, they are not the biggest company whenever it comes to anime figures. For instance, like, they are kind of not doing as many of the prize figures as they used to. They still do a lot of scale figures, but they don't do as many prize figures as they used to. They still do, like, the Hatsune Miku ones that come out with 30 new prize figures every week. They still release a ton of them, but not all of them. So just be aware to check different retailers to see what's coming out. And I will add, if you want to see like what is coming out with anything that I mentioned today, follow them on their social medias. I mentioned Freeing. Great way to know about any scale figures. Follow Good Smile US on Twitter, Facebook. I know they have Instagram. I don't know if they have like Blue Sky and stuff like that. So just go follow them. They're great. They release stuff every weekday at night. They will say, this stuff's available, pre-order today. And there you go. And then usually, like, if it's Monday night and they say this figure is available for pre-order, Tuesday by midday, Big Bad Toy Store, Crunchyroll Store, Entertainment Earth, if they're gonna put it out, they'll have those available for pre-order. So they're a great way to keep up with that. Whenever it comes to manga, this one is from Viz Media. Viz is also very popular on social media. You can follow them. They'll give you a release calendar of everything that will come out in that month. Same thing goes for Seven Seas Entertainment, as well as Kodansha. There's another one. There's many manga companies that are coming out. Basically, when you find a manga you really like, follow them on, you know, your social medias, and you can keep up with when the new volume's coming out or whatever. Because, you know, it's gonna be a little bit like if, like for instance, this is Rent a Girlfriend. Rent a Girlfriend is about, they're on volume 43 in Japan. We are currently just had volume 32 released. So we're about 10 volumes behind. So it's not like, oh, I can just follow whoever, you know, the manga creator is, you know, because they're only going to tell you about the Japanese release date. So just, you know, there's ways to keep up with all that. But hopefully that answered that question for you.
All right.
Anything else?
Okay, so you mentioned, I'm not sorry, how often do you keep, like, for like these like figures, how often do you like keep the boxes just kind of in storage? And because like I guess I recently I have like a decent sized collection of my own, and thankfully because I had a lot of room at my previous place, I was able to just keep boxes kind of just laying around. Now like I'm in a much smaller place, like I don't know if I should just toss the boxes, because I'm afraid if I like move again and I don't have the boxes, all of a sudden I have all these delicate figures that I don't know how to package and protect when I move again.
So what I do is, and I'm like you were, I have a huge attic and I just throw them all up there, and eventually that'll get filled, and I'm worried about what I'll do then. But I kind of do them like a tier system. This is the ones you want to keep. If you got to put these in a closet, I would highly recommend anything that's over like $150, keep the box for it. Because I mentioned Evansville Toys and Games. If you take them this figure and it does not have the box, it's gonna be worth $50 less. If you have it in its original box, it doesn't need all the little plastic, no, you need the plastic insert. You don't need all like little foam inserts or whatever. But if you have the actual box, everything like that, it's gonna be worth more, just because people buy a figure that's in the box better. The prize figures here, you don't need to keep the box for all of them. And the Funko Pops, they release like con exclusives. If there's a con exclusive you buy and you think this one might be worth something, you know, in 5 years from now, whenever the anime's ending or whatever, keep that box. The little common ones that are, you buy at Hot Topic or whatever, you need to throw them away, because, you know, they're gonna be $10 for the next, you know, 5 years, and they might spike if something happens cool with the character, but 99% of the time it won't. Now Nindroids have a bunch of little accessories, like she's got different arms, she's got different faces, everything like that. I could take all of the little accessories out, throw them in a bag or box or whatever, and keep them up with that, but then I'm risking that they get all scratched up, rubbing against one another and everything. So I just keep all the Nindroid boxes and I have them all in a big stack, and that way if I ever wanted to change her face or whatever, I just go up, find the box, there you go. So that's what I do with it. Obviously, like you said, that's a big thing between each person, or you know what your scenario is. That's a big thing for each person. So just, you know, I recommend doing them price-wise, but you know, whatever works for you in that scenario.
Okay, what about displaying posters from cons or like something like that?
So
I mean, is it better to frame them?
yes, it's definitely better to frame them. And what I was thinking of whenever it comes to like storage, if you ever like, for me, wall space fills up quick, because if you have shelves and everything, wall space fills up quick. Highly recommend you frame them all. I know that can get expensive, but framing them is great. We have some great craft stores around town that has basically exact frames for whatever you'll need, because anime posters are never the perfect size. They're always a little bit too small or a little bit too big. Michael's over by Best Buy. We can't go to Joanne Fabrics anymore, they're gone. But Hobby Lobby doesn't have that many frames, to be honest. Michael's is probably the best one. Joanne Fabrics used to be really good, but Michael's is really good now whenever it comes to framing. Now whenever you store it, what I recommend is you can get poster tubes, and they are, if you just want a cardboard one, you can go to the post office. I don't know if the post office would have it, but like a UPS store would have it, Office Depot would have it. And you can just get a cardboard poster tube, and I recommend if you are thinking, well, this anime is done airing right now, I kind of want to put up this new anime poster right now, roll it up, stick it in a poster tube, and then store it. Definitely don't try to fold it, because you'll never get those creases out of a folded poster. You can, but it's a task. So I recommend, if you can, frame them. If you want to display them, put them in the tube. And if you ever tape one, tape it on the back. Like, just roll the tape up and do like a little circle, and then push the tape against the wall. Don't ever just take the tape and like put your poster on the wall and then tape over the front of it, because whenever you want to take that tape off, it will peel the front of it. It'll peel the print off as well.
And where do you have any recommendations of like storing like autograph stuff, like what kind of?
So they make, you've probably seen them. They're like, you ever seen like with Pokemon cards, the top loaders that they'll put them in?
Yeah.
They make big versions of those, to where they are like a 11 by 17 or 8 by 10 or whatever. If I don't know where you buy them locally, Comic Quest might have them, but you can order them over Amazon. They have tons of them, but you can get those. You can slide them in there. Now, if you wanted to frame them, what I recommend with that is there is a type of frame called a matted frame, to where it has a MATTE. Those basically, between the glass and whatever your poster or autograph is, it will have like a little foam white border around it. And what that does is it prevents the autograph from touching the glass, because after a year or two, that autograph can, not always, but it can stick to the glass more than it does the poster. And then it will basically, the glass is now autographed and your poster is no longer autographed. So recommend that, yes.
All right.
But anything else?
I have a question. I mean, this might be a stupid question, but have you ever bought anything from like the European market for anime?
So I will say, they are actually, whenever it comes to like English Blu-rays, Europe actually puts out usually better Blu-rays than we do. And usually they're by the same people, but they put them out better quality. I have thought about that. The only thing is you're still paying you're paying very similar import costs from buying it from Japan. So like, for instance, that's why I bought the Love Live Superstar box set here thing from Japan, because I didn't like this one they put out in America. And so they made a really cool one in Europe, but I had to pay the import cost either from Europe or from Japan. This one looks a little bit cooler from Europe or from Japan, so I just decided to go with that. But you can, but you'd still be paying those import costs is the only thing. And a lot of like figures, they will be released everywhere pretty much. So, because they're gonna import everything, 99% of anime stuff comes from Japan, and then US retailers will just distribute it out to, or US and European will distribute it out from there. But anything else before I let you guys go?
What about manga box sets?
If you want the whole series, it's cheaper, and it's basically up to you. If you like, for instance, Dawn to Dawn, it's a really popular series right now. They are like, what, 12 volumes in right now. I can guarantee you in the next 2 years, we'll get a box set for this. I just wanted it now. So if you want to wait, like My Hero's got one box set out right now. If you want to wait for that to get the second box set, you can, but you're gonna be waiting for a little bit. Because they gotta wait for all the manga to release, then it's usually 6 months, then they'll release the new one. But, anything else?
So I know this is probably not in the basics, but like, where do you, if you can collect it, like where do you prefer to get like garage kit sets or like figures?
So, I'm actually looking into some of them right now because I think they're really cool, but I just, they do have some of them on AmiAmi, if you want to buy directly from Japan. I am not super well versed right now on exactly where to buy those. I know there are some American retailers that have those and probably would have them cheaper than buying them from Japan. But if you do want the legit thing from Japan, like the original release or whatever, you can order them from AmiAmi. I've seen, that's where I've been looking at them from. So it's, I think Entertainment Earth has them. I'm 95% sure. But no, I know with them, they have some of their own little like retailers. They specialize in that stuff, and I just not. I am trying to get into that now. So.
Okay.
But.
So what's your thoughts on places like Sun Market and Dorizo?
Is those websites? Or?
Yes, they're like websites where you can go and buy things off of Japanese websites.
Oh, they're great.
And
Those
they
are-
get shipped to the.
Yes. The only thing I would recommend, like if you're gonna buy a Freeing figure, you can buy it from like Good Smile Japan. I would recommend if you're gonna do that, it's actually cheaper to buy either, obviously it's cheaper to buy if you go through the US retailer, but if AmiAmi or another company that has like, they do their own shipping, they're actually gonna be slightly cheaper, but I did buy a licorice recoil like cosplay thing, and it was not available anywhere else. I used one of those that is basically like you buy it through them and then they ship it to you. Those are great. They work great. The one that I used was a company called, I think it was Buy-E, B-U-Y-E-E. They were great, and I didn't have any problems with them. I've just personally not had enough things that I wanted to buy through that way to try it out enough, but no one that I've ever talked to has had any problems with those. They work great. They're just a little bit pricey, but they're not bad.
Yeah, well, whenever it's like, oh, Pokemon Center, you can't have it shipped from the Pokemon Center to the US unless it's on the American Pokemon Center, but it's
Yeah.
like, it's not on the Pokemon Japanese, it's on the Japanese, but not.
I've had a friend that's how I knew that it's fine, because he buys a ton of Pokemon plushies, and a lot of them don't get released in America, and he buys them through that way. So it is great whenever it comes to that. But anyway, so is that about all for questions wise? Well, thank you guys so much for stopping by. Like I said, hopefully this was informative. This was my first panel, so I hope that it was not too rambly, but I hope you got something out of it.
So if you sticked around all the way here to the end, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it wasn't too bad. If you watched it all the way through, thank you so much. You were great. And thank you to the crowd that was there. I wasn't really expecting to have anyone, to be honest, because I know collecting is not super popular. I know it's popular enough to where there are people that do it, but you know, money's tight nowadays and everything. So thank you so much to the people that did come out and watch it. So if any of you are watching this, I did recommend it to them. So hopefully maybe one or two of them did. But thank you to them. Thank you to you for watching this. This was a big thing for me that I just wanted to do and see if I could do it. And hopefully it was informative to not only them, but you if you watched all the way through. But thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, like I said, we have more videos on the channel, so stay tuned for those. Subscribe if you want to see them. And until next time, have a good one. Bye.